これぞ忍法。 he's just like, you guys know that Eddie Kemper murdered somebody? And they're like, no. And he's like, yeah, he killed his fucking grandparents. And they're like, what gun does he have? And he's like, he's got a massive 45.
Yeah.
And so they're like, we got to go get him. We got to go get this gun. And they all knew him. And so they're like, well, this guy's 6'9" and 300 pounds. Who wants to go get the gun from him?
Right, and if he throws you over the top rope, you're out. So you can't come back into the investigation.
Yeah.
So.
So they sent the rookie.
They sent a guy, they literally drew straws, and the rookie lost. And the rookie is literally this tiny guy. When I saw an interview with him, and he's just like, so I just, I knew that, so it was up to me. Go roll up Eddie. So I rolled on over to the car, and they were saying they have a hard time finding the address. And they went over to basically, he went around looking. It was like one of those things where it was like 609A, 609B. There was a bunch of different houses all in a cul-de-sac, and he couldn't see anybody, and he was looking around, and finally he said, hanging out of the car, and he walks up to him, he's like, excuse me, sir, can you point me towards a 609A? And he was like, and then I watched Ed Kemper get out and get out and get out of the car. Because he was like, it's just all of his body coming pour out of this car, and him standing all the way up, and he was like, can I get your gun back?
This guy approaches Kemper like Wayne, or like Garth did in Wayne's World when he confronted the bully with the
Excuse me.
I'd like to get by now.
But he said then he went into, so then Eddie then in his mind starts going paranoid. He's like, what gun do they want?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I got a 45 in my house, but I also have a shit ton of other fucking illegal guns in my house.
I've also got that 22 that I've been killing all these girls with.
Inside of my car.
Yeah.
And so finally when he said the 45, he's like, oh, yeah.
God, that's got to be just such a strange thought process of, hoping they don't know the right gun.
Yeah, it really is. So, blonde girl there with Ed, and if the cop hadn't come, he would have killed that girl.
Yeah.
So he just let the girl go. And 2 months after he killed those two girls, I'd say he started to play what I could only describe as Russian roulette with other people's lives. He just started picking up girls just to test himself, just to see if he could pick girls up and not kill them.
Right.
But here's like some ridiculous irony. There was two girls that he picked up. He
looked exactly the same as Marianne, as the first two victims.
The first two. They wanted him to take them the wrong way to their destination, which would have taken them straight to the site of the first two murders. But Ed knew the right way. He's like, no. You don't go this way. We have to go this way. And that's the amazing irony, is that he scared those two girls more than he scared any of his victims.
Absolutely, because they were freaking out because he was just like, no, let me take you the right way.
Yeah.
And he did it, and then he dropped him off. But that mounting pressure from inside his own brain to kill.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, with the cops buzzing him for that gun, has started firing up his paranoia.
He thought that the cops were playing a cat and mouse game with him.
Yeah, they were just stupid.
Yeah, it was just complete coincidence. So after that, he spends an entire week thinking about, okay, it's time.
I am going to go to the delta of my crimes, and it's time to kill mommy.
And he would go through it that Sunday, Easter weekend.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I think there's a part of him that thought that maybe if I kill her, she'll come right back, huh?
Yeah, you never know who's going to rise on Easter.
So he walks into her room on Saturday night while she's reading. She slams her book shut, and she said,
"Oh my God, now I suppose you want to stay up all night and talk."
She was a cold woman.
She was a very cold woman. Because that was the thing, is that he was such a fucking huge, dorky fuck. He would go and sit on the corner of her bed every night and like tell him about his problems and his feelings, and she hated him for it.
Yeah.
He was just a gigantic nuisance.
Yeah.
Right.
And he said he just goes, nope, and left the room and returned 4 hours later with a claw hammer.
And it was also very interesting in one of his first interviews, he breaks into tears talking about this because he says he was psyching himself up all night. And you see, because every other victim he talks about with sort of a smugness, sort of like a thing above him.
I pulled one over on them.
Yeah. Or they deserved it, blah, blah, blah. And then that thing we said, it's not that I did a horrible thing, but it's a horrible thing happened to them.
Yeah.
Right? And so he was of course, very conflicted about killing his mother, but he knew he had to do it.
That's when you stare into the window and you look at your own reflection and you're like Annette Bening in American Beauty and you're like, I will sell this house today. I will murder my mother today. I will do it.
So he bashes her head in as she slept. He rolled out, and he said that he was shocked at how easy it was to kill her, that she died just as easily as all the rest of them.
Oh, an elderly sleeping woman? That wasn't the most difficult kill you've ever had?
At this point, I imagine he thought she was like fucking King Koopa, was going to come back black and white and then start like, changing flashing red.
Yeah.
I wonder what he thought was going to happen when he did stab it, light was going to come from her or something. She was going to turn into a stronger demon force, like in
like at the end of Ocarina of Time when you think you've beaten Ganondorf, and then the tower blows up, and then you got to deal with super big Ganondorf.
Ganondorf, more like Momendorf.
Pretty much. Yeah, Dead Alive, I was thinking as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So he then decided that, quote, what's good enough for my victims was good enough for my mother.
Oh, very nice of you, Ed.
It wasn't very nice.
No. He cuts off her head, has sex with her corpse. He goes a little bit further. He removes her vocal cords and throws them in the garbage disposal.
But they won't grind up because
they're popping back out of the garbage disposal into his face.
And it's like it seemed appropriate as much as she bitched and screamed and yelled at me so much over the years. Even when she was dead, she was still bitching at me. Couldn't get her to shut up.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder if when he was having sex with his mother's head, if he was just like, I think this is a career-defining moment. You know what? I think this is how people are going to define my entire life.
This is my Saving Private Ryan.
This is great.
So he spends the next few hours yelling and screaming at his mother's head. He places the head up on the mantle, yells and screams at the head, and then just starts throwing darts at her face.
He was upset.
He was upset.
He was upset. I know. I blow off steam. I've yelled at the coffee maker. In these last couple of months, I've yelled at some stuff in my house that doesn't need to be yelled at. I held my TV like it was a woman once.
No, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. This is being recorded, Henry.
So he felt sick. He goes out for a drive. He sees an acquaintance who owes him $10 and his friend's car, and he's still got the urge to kill. Like, he is fucking keyed up.
He said his buddy gave him the $10 and it saved his friend's fucking life.
Oh, that's nice.
God damn.
So if you owe a buddy a debt, just pay up right now.
Seriously, shut off this podcast. Go to your buddy's house and pay him right now.
Right. Yeah, it's like, I just thought of Steve Buscemi's character. I don't know why I'm thinking of all the movies today.
I don't know. You're movie boy.
I'm movie boy. and Billy Madison. Call up your friend or make sure that you're good with everybody in the world because you never know when one of your friends is a serial killer and you want to be safe on his list.
So he's still keyed up, and he also realizes that there is one person in this world that's going to miss his mother, her best friend, Sally Hallett. So he calls her up. He invites her over for a surprise dinner with his mother, and when she arrives, the first thing she said was,
"Let's sit down. I'm dead."
Really? Yeah. Wow, I didn't know
He
that.
hits her in the strangles her first with his hands, and then uses the same scarf that he had used to kill Aiko Ku.
And he did it with such force that he broke her neck. He later recalled, I had broken her neck, and her head was just wobbling around with the bones of her neck just disconnected in the skin sack of her neck. So
Skin
sacks of the neck.
Oh, man. So he placed Sally's body in his bed and spent his night in his mother's room.
Did he play beer pong with her butthole or anything like that? He's already got the dart game going with his mother's head.
Please, beer pong. He was playing it like a wine glass.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah.
That is fun.
So the next morning, he leaves in Hallett's car, but not without leaving a note for the police on his mother's bloody mattress. It read,
approximately 5:15 a.m. Saturday. No need for her to suffer anymore at the hands of this horrible, murderous butcher. It was quick, asleep, the way I wanted it. Not sloppy and incomplete, gents. I got things to do.
He's very busy, yeah.
I got things to do, and that was 2 exclamation points after that.
Wow.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like a text message from you, Ben.
G2T.
Yeah. Got to.
Yeah. So Kemper drives for 3 days straight. He eventually reaches Colorado, and he's been popping bennies this entire time, popping trucker speed. He hallucinates most of the drive, and he said that he had the same feeling that he had after he killed his grandparents. This weird, surreal, out-of-body type of experience.
Right.
Yeah, he said,
wow, I've got to stop this because it is getting out of hand. I am not going to be responsible for what happens any further, and I don't like that idea.
No, definitely not.
So this is what I want to say. To me, what this shows again is, guys out there, when you're driving, wear a seatbelt, because you don't know.
Seatbelt?
60% of the guys on the road have just killed 8 women, their mother, their mother's best friend. They're driving around on bennies, so be careful and buckle up.
and he was expecting a manhunt because the police
Because he
found
thought that this was a part of a big game with the police.
Yeah, he thought that the police had been watching him, and as soon as he took off, the police were going to raid the house, find all the bodies. But nobody gave a fuck that Clarnell and Sally were dead.
Let's just face it. They sucked.
I mean, nobody seems to care about a lot of people here.
But on the other hand, most people who knew Clarnell, like she was very popular.
No, she was very good at what she was good at her job. She
so-
had a distinct problem with men and with Eddie in general.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he was a co-ed butcher.
Yeah, that'll do
it's
it.
because he was a bit of a bastard. So 3 days went by. He heard no word on the radio of anyone finding the bodies. He stopped in Pueblo, Colorado, called up the Santa Cruz PD to confess to the killings. It took him several calls to convince him that he was serious.
They told him to call back.
Call back. I just killed 8 women. Okay.
I know. But the thing is, we're waiting. The buzzer's broken outside of the station, and we've ordered a couple of pizzas. We're having a bit of a pizza party. It's Marty's birthday, so it's lines open.
Yeah. And he was so well liked and so well known by the police department, they thought that he was drunk. Like, it took him several calls because he knew these detectives by name. He knew who was on the case.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I need to talk to Detective
But he also-
Sturgill. And they called up Detective Sturgill. He's like, hey, listen, I got to tell you, I just killed my mother and her friend, and I'm also the co-ed killer.
And they were like, they're so used to him
Right.
being a bumblebutt around the bar because he said that was a carefully crafted persona that he had with them.
Yeah, it really was. He was just kind of a goof.
Right.
He was a police groupie, as they called him. And then he was just a harmless eccentric that was just,
Pain in the ass. The guy would buy you a beer and he'd jaw your ear off and he'd fucking put bad songs on the jukebox.
Yeah.
And,
He's the guy that when you're out drinking, when he shows up and you're sober, you're like, fuck, Kemper, okay, I guess. And then after you have like 5 beers,
he's
your
a
best
funny
friend.
guy,
He's your
yeah.
best friend. Yeah.
Right.
So he said that he had gone all the way to Pueblo.
all got together that one night and he raped that head of lettuce.
Oh, yeah. That was funny, though. I
It was kind of funny.
That
It was a
funny.
good time.
We'd had a lot of Jaeger that
You
night, so I just
remember,
kind of
Henry?
dismissed it.
Yeah, you remember. You ate it afterwards.
I had to.
Yeah.
We called it an Eddie salad.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, he said that he went all the way to Pueblo because he said he was afraid if he went straight to the local police department, they would shoot first and ask questions later, and he was, quote, terrified of violence.
What a fucking pussy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and I really do think that if Ed hadn't turned himself in and hadn't killed his mother, very likely he could have reached Bundy numbers.
But once he
Sure.
killed his mom, it was all done.
Well, he was, as we said in the first episode, he was a displacement killer. He couldn't
Right.
kill his mother, so he killed the next best thing, the women that his mother wouldn't let him meet.
But after he was caught, he said multiple times, if I was on the street, I'd kill again.
Yeah,
He said it. He come up, went out and said it, which everyone else is. That's where I would say he's the only honest thing he said.
Yeah.
Where all the other killers would be like, Dahmer, all this stuff. Where it's just like he knows.
He knows exactly what
Yeah.
he is.
It's interesting. It's almost like a horror movie in the way that they found what he found what was cursing him this whole time. His mother. It's like when you find the bones and you have to put him in the sunlight at 5 a.m. to break the curse.
But there's a
He
fourth
killed his
sequel
mother.
contract that
Right.
forces you to make more after you make the awesome ending of the first one.
Right.
So Kemper pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but 3 different court psychiatrists declared him to be sane. This is very interesting. Kemper, his diagnosis has been used since then as the standard for what legal insanity is, i.e., by reason of disease or defect, the defendant did not know what he was doing was wrong.
Yeah.
So that's still used to this day as far as the insanity defense goes. And when they asked him what he thought was a fitting punishment, he said, you know what, I've been thinking about this moment from childhood. He told the judge that he ought to be tortured to death. But the death penalty at the time was suspended nationwide, and he was sent to prison. Spent a short stint in the California Medical Facility in Vacaville, California, and here he met up with his nemesis, his only competition, Herbert Mullen.
God, Herbert!
This would have been a fun time for him and the judge to play Gas Chamber.
Yeah.
His favorite childhood game.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, so he killed 13. He believed that he was trying to prevent an earthquake.
Yeah.
And Kemper said he was just a cold-blooded killer, killing everybody he saw for no good reason. All right? You're a no-class killer, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's what he yelled at her.
Yeah, he's like, you're not, and he would tease her. He would call him Herbie because Herbert hated it.
Because Herbert had a high habit of singing in a high-pitched, squeaky voice while people were watching TV.
Yeah.
It was just like, bunch of idiots watching the TV. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it?
It's the real Odd Couple. I love it.
Oh, yeah. So finally, like, Kemper got sick of it, and he got into the habit of throwing water on, like a cat, like you would a cat.
Right.
He would throw water on him, and when he was a good boy, I'd give him peanuts. He
that's
said
kinda
that, yeah,
nice.
he said that was effective because pretty soon Herbie would actually ask permission to sing. He
I see.
trained this man like a cat.
What an annoying room of losers and
yeah.
maniacs.
It is
it's
like-
just like it's like that's the thing is you can see this context of just being
Right.
like a group of just fucktards that are just the worst dudes to hang out with.
Yeah, there's one guy just saying like,
And you got a bumblebutt just going like, "Shut up, parrot! Yeah, it's a
Throwing
peanut, you
peanuts at
parrot!"
him.